Hey, everybody, what's going on? Jeff Rager, another episode of the Daily Ticket. This one for a Tuesday, the 19th of March. It's 2024, and it's fucking cold outside. Like, what's the deal with this weather? Like, honestly, February, the worst month of the year as far as the weather is concerned. We get 6 days I can go golfing. Early March, last Friday, I played 9 holes. And now we get this? Like, what is this? It's like frigid outside. It's like 20 degrees. I don't like it. I've told you my fear. It's actually my nightmare. We got all this great weather in February and in early March. And then once late April hits and the NFL draft is in Detroit and all eyes are on the Motor City, we're going to get like 25 and rain and sleet and hail and borderline snow. That better not happen. I hate this weather. And I looked at the forecast. I mean, my God, we're talking for the next 2 weeks, we're mired in this. Next Monday and Tuesday, we do get high 50s, but it's supposed to rain. So I don't like this. Not that you care what I think about the weather. I'm not quite sure you care what I think about anything, but I don't like this. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's move on with the show, shall we? We got comments to get to at the end of this podcast. We didn't do it yesterday. By the way, really interesting response to yesterday's podcast. It was all about Derek Lalonde after the Wings lost their 8th of 9. They got doubled up by the Penguins 6-3. I said fire the head coach. I gave my reasons why. I still believe that to be the case. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. Do I think it should have happened? Absolutely. Reading the comments, it's really weird. Half of y'all agree with me, and half of y'all think I'm a fucking idiot. I mean, that was pretty much the response. In hockey, they do this stuff all the time. I went over the stats. 7 coaches have lost their job this season. 6 of the teams that those coaches were from are either in the postseason or borderline on the postseason. And then the other team is the Ottawa Senators. But I found the responses and the comments and the interaction super interesting because I feel it's the only bullet you got left. You got one bullet in the chamber, and that's to get rid of the head coach. Now, I talked to my radio partner, Bob Winowski, Wojo. He says you actually got 2 bullets. Dylan Larkin eventually will come back. And that's fair. I just don't believe this is a Larkin issue. Like, could he help? Of course. But if you really lost 8 of 9 games because you're missing your captain and everybody else has forgotten how to play hockey, I'm not going to buy that. So I do appreciate y'all reacting to the podcast. Thank you for that. And let's talk today now, shall we? Because I actually was going to do this yesterday. But then, of course, the Wings lost to the Penguins and Selection Sunday happened. So I decided to push it back to today. This comment I'm about to play you is from last week. Now, before we get into it, there's guys in media that never have an opinion, like ever have an opinion. Like Ryan Seacrest, not that he's a sports guy. Dude never has a fucking opinion. Ever. The next memorable thing Ryan Seacrest says will be the first memorable thing. But I get it, man. He's living the life. He probably makes a ton of money. He gets every job in Hollywood and on TV. I guess he's doing things right. The sports version of Ryan Seacrest, I've always believed this, is Mike Greenberg from ESPN. Greeny is one of these guys. He's a good nuts and bolts dude. But he's not giving you any opinions. Even when he had his morning show, Mike and Mike, he ain't giving you any opinions. He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. Oh, no, he doesn't want to do that. Like, the one thing we know about Greenberg is he's a big Jets fan. And then he calls on the experts on his own show, Get Up, in the morning to give the opinions. He's just a guy that keeps the car on the track, right? So a guy like Mike Greenberg, who never gives an opinion, when he finally does give an opinion, and of course it happens to be about your Detroit Lions, I kind of think it's relevant. Is that fair? I brought this comment that I'm about to play for you up on the radio over the weekend. I played the comment. You would not believe how furious Lions fans were. Not that Mike Greenberg feels this way, but at me. that I had the audacity to play this comment on the radio and ask if Greenberg's got a point. So I'm going to do the same to you. I wonder if you're going to get as mad. Mike Greenberg, I think this is from his radio show because it did not look like the set of Get Up, was talking about the Detroit Lions with some other dude. I have no idea who he is. And I thought his point was interesting. And I actually agree with half of it. Here's the comment from Mike Greenberg. Get ready to be angry if you're anything like the people that listen to the radio show.
They missed their window. I think their shot to win the championship was last year.
Explain yourself.
I think they're getting surpassed in their own division. I think Green Bay is now better than them. I think Green Bay was a coming, and I think Detroit had it. Like look at all throughout history. Look how many teams lose games in the playoffs, deep in the playoffs, that we think, oh, man, well, that was just the beginning. You know they'll be back. How many times is that team not back? The Lions had the 49ers dead to rights in their own building in the NFC Championship game. How about when Buffalo lost that game 13 seconds against Kansas City? Well, that was a heartbreaking loss, but you know they'll be back. They'll clearly take that one more step. How's that worked out? Cincinnati in that Super Bowl against the Rams. Oh, look how close they've come. Look how good and young their quarterback is. Oh, they'll certainly be back. How's that worked out? I'm old enough to remember Dan Marino getting to the Super Bowl against Joe Montana, his second year in the NFL, set the world on fire. Oh, Marino, the first of what will unquestionably be 5 Super Bowl appearances. Never got back. You missed that chance. You missed that chance. Green Bay is going to be better than Detroit next year.
It's an interesting point.
I think they missed their window.
All right, so according to Greeny, and by the way, I do like that at the very end, the guy, I have no idea who he is. He's like, well, that's an interesting point. I mean, it wasn't that interesting. I do think that Mike Greenberg makes one good point. I think a window was missed for last year. I do think the Lions can get back. But yes, last year did have a feel of a year of destiny. And it's funny that Mike Greenberg ended up bringing up the fact that the Lions lost to the Niners. Well, so did the Green Bay Packers, the team that he claims has surpassed the Lions. But if you do look at last year, everything did go perfect for the Lions. They were completely healthy at the end of the season. That doesn't always happen. They had the Packers help them go into Dallas and give them another home playoff game. That doesn't always happen. They were rather fortunate as far as their schedule is concerned. That doesn't always happen. And they led the San Francisco 49ers by 17 points at the half with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, and they couldn't close the deal. So, yes, I 100% agree with Greeny there. Can I call him Greeny? I don't know. Mike Greenberg? Call him Greeny. I think I've heard that right. But I agree with that point. Like, last year was a missed opportunity. Magical, awesome season, but a missed opportunity because they should have been in the Super Bowl. And maybe they would have had a chance to win a Super Bowl and do something that nobody ever thought they would live to see. So I agree with that point, I do. But as far as teams making it to games and you believing they're legit and then them just pretty much disappearing, like he brought up the Cincinnati Bengals. Pretty sure Joe Burrow's been hurt, it seems like, the last couple seasons. There might be a reason they haven't got back to the Super Bowl there, Greeny. As far as Dan Marino, I mean, you got to go all the way back, 60 years? I know it's not 60, but 50, 40 years to bring up that one? I think Greeny is reaching on this one. Has Green Bay closed the gap? Maybe. Have they surpassed the Lions? I don't think so. Last time I checked, if you look at Las Vegas and their spreads and their numbers, the Lions are still the favorite to win the NFC North. And if you want to just break it down, yes, the Packers came in the Ford Field on Thanksgiving and beat the Lions on national TV. It happened. And yes, the Packers also got better as the season went on. And Jordan Love looks to be like the real deal, despite throwing one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen in my life in that Niners divisional game. At the end of the game, across his body, that ended up getting picked off. I think they've gotten better. I think the Bears will be better. Good defense, number 1 overall quarterback in Caleb Williams, good offense. I think they're going to win more games. I think the Vikings are going to draft J.J. McCarthy. because they have no quarterback. I think they'll take a step back. But they, too, other than their quarterback, have gotten better. I know that the Lions have a tougher schedule, at least on paper. I know that everything's not going to go their way this year. I know they're now, without a doubt, the hunted instead of the hunter. But have the Green Bay Packers surpassed the Detroit Lions? I'm not ready to go there. Yes, I think they've gotten better, but I'm not ready to go there just yet. And even if you just want to compare the teams, and I know it's impossible to do because we don't know the schedules or where you're playing a team and when you're playing a team just yet. That's going to come out later on. But if you just want to do a basic comparison, offense and defense, who's got the better offense, the Lions or the Packers? That's easy. The Lions. Who's got the better receivers, the Packers or the Lions? Packers have what? Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. The Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamo Williams, and what? Josh Reynolds, you want to say? I'm still going to go with the Lions. Who's got the better quarterback right now? Jared Goff or Jordan Love? I'm going to go Jared Goff. Who's got the better offensive line right now? Yes, I understand Jonah Jackson left, but the Packers are looking for a guard as well. I'll still give the edge to the Detroit Lions. Who's got the better tight end? Sam Laporta or Luke Musgrave? That's not a contest. I go Sam Laporta. Who's got the better running back situation? A.J. Dillon and Josh Jacobs for Green Bay, or David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs for the Lions? Again, no-brainer. I go the Lions. So offensively, the Lions have a better offense, at least in my opinion. Defensively is where it gets a little questionable. Who's got the better D-line? Probably the Packers. They only had 4 more sacks than the Lions all season long, but Kenny Clark and TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Rashawn Gary from Michigan, I'd probably say that's the better D-line than what the Lions are throwing at you. Don't get me wrong. I do believe the Lions D-line got better. Marcus Davenport, I'm worried he's not going to stay healthy. DJ Reader, I'm worried he's not going to stay healthy, but if he does, him and Aleem McNeil next to each other, I don't think you're going to be able to run on those guys. Not to mention, I think you're going to get more interior pressure. I think DJ Reader is going to take on a lot of double teams. I do believe you're going to see a lot of mismatches, and Aiden is going to be able to eat and kill the quarterback. But I'll give the edge to the Packers as far as the defensive line is concerned. I think the Packers probably have a better defense without a doubt. I think the Lions have worked on getting that defense up to par. But you look at the Packers, like Isaiah McDuffie's a good player, inside linebacker. Quay Walker's a really good player. Preston Smith's pretty good as well. And then I do believe, I don't think there's any question about that, even though the Lions have upgraded their secondary and went out and got Carlton Davis, I think the Packers have the better secondary. Jair Alexander's a stud. Anthony Johnson Jr. is really good. And they went out and got Xavier McKinney, who's an all-pro. So I do think that the Packers probably have the better defense. I think the Lions have the better offense. They're going to play each other twice a year. I think it's way too premature to say that the Packers have surpassed the Lions. But I do agree that the Lions wasted a massive opportunity last year. I'm curious where you stand. Do you agree with Mike Greenberg? The Packers have surpassed the Detroit Lions. I'm not saying they haven't got better. I'm not saying it's now closer because it is close. But I still do believe that the Lions are the best team in the NFC North. Where are you? Let me know. Comment section. And hopefully you didn't get so pissed at that Mike Greenberg comment that you turned off this podcast. Hopefully you didn't get so pissed at me for playing the Mike Greenberg comment that you turned off the podcast. Let me know what you think. I think the Lions are still the best team in the NFC North. But yes, I do believe it's getting closer, without a doubt. Let's get to some comments and then get the hell out of here. So yesterday's podcast I mentioned was all about Derek Lalonde and the Red Wings and the embarrassing 3 to 4 weeks that they've been having. I asked the question, should Lalonde be fired? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. Here's what people said. User-SW3KI2KK9S. We should have made a bid for Crosby, and yes, fire Lalonde. When could you have got Sidney Crosby? Man, he had a pretty power play goal, didn't he, on Sunday? That dude's like 36 years old, still getting the job done. Ridiculous. How about this one? Spencer Dobkin, 94-79. Lalone should have been fired after the second Arizona game. Then he benches Reimer after he helps them win, after Lyon has looked tired and awful for weeks. He's overplayed Lyon. He can't adjust lines and minutes correctly. Lalonde is not an NHL coach, period. I actually agree with you. I'd fire him. Now, as far as Alex Lyon is concerned, you're probably not where you are without the efforts of Alex Lyon. But yes, they 100% have overused him. Do you know, before this season, his career high in games played in a season was 15 last year with Florida. This year, he's at 35. Now, I'm not saying that the Wings have a really good goalie situation because they don't. They have Reimer and Lyon right now. That's it. Ville Husso's still injured. But I would agree with you. Good coaches find ways to make these things work. The defensive pairings seem to be the same. He's juggled the forwards a little bit. Hasn't really worked out. They've won one game in their last 9 tries, for crying out loud. If you want to make the playoffs, something you haven't done since 2016, fire the head coach. What can it hurt? I brought it up yesterday. If you believe Derek Lalonde is like a Scotty Bowman type and he's going to be this legendary coach, then fine, hang on to him. Odds are he's not, though. Fire the head coach. Go get Gerard Gallant. Give him a call. Bring him on in for 14 games, 13 after today's game, and see what happens. And then one more for you. This one from, I believe it's Greater Debt Fan. Agree. Lalonde has to go. He is way too soft. His system or whatever he has the team running is not working. They continue to make the same mistakes. More of the same again. Majority of people, believe it or not, now that I'm looking at more comments, I know I said at the start of the podcast it was kind of 50-50. Now it's kind of pushing to the direction of to fire the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. What do you think? Let me know. And what'd you think of the Mike Greenberg comments? I think the Packers have gotten better without a doubt, but I don't believe they've surpassed the Detroit Lions. But I do agree with the part where he said the Lions wasted a golden opportunity. Without a doubt, they did. Doesn't mean you can't get back. Doesn't mean you're not going to get back. Doesn't mean that it's over. But yeah, I think the schedule is going to be tougher. I think the division got tougher, and I think it's going to be tough. That's okay. Not supposed to be easy. All right, we'll catch you tomorrow on a hump day. We'll talk a little NCAA tournament, Michigan State. We'll go over some candidates for Michigan basketball. Plus, I got a surprise for you. We'll do that tomorrow on a hump day. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.